Hello everyone, welcome into Deacon's NFL Talk. I'm your host Deacon, and welcome back to another episode on the channel, episode 43, I believe, on the channel. And today, this week, we have quite a bit of NFL news to get to this week. Actually, this week had a bunch of hires this week and a bunch of firings, so this week was definitely an outstanding week. We have a lot of topics to get to. Then after that, we have a lot of quick hits to get to as well, about three whole pages of quick hits. Then we have highlights and lowlights from this past week. We'll have a recap from the Divisional Round, and then we'll have NFC and AFC Championship predictions. And then to cap it off, we have one question of the week. This is Deacon's NFL Talk. Alright everyone, we're going to jump right into this one. So first off, as always, we're going to start off with the first topic. And this one is a huge blow to the Commanders this week. They lost offensive guard Sam Cosmi, really talented guard. And really, he's like probably their best offensive lineman that they have. I'm not a Commanders fan, so I wouldn't know. But he's a very talented guard. I mean, Cosmi, he started every game for the Commanders this year. And according to PFF, Cosmi ranks 14th in pass blocking in his position, so there's like no question that he's as good as he is. And really, I feel like this is an offensive line that really isn't just amazing. I mean, I really haven't watched the Commanders' offensive line. I mean, not that I pay attention to it, but I haven't really watched the Commanders' offensive line since the Steelers game that they played in Washington, and they allowed so many sacks. Like, I don't know how many it was, but it felt like a lot. And with Cosmi gone, it's going to be really hard for the Commanders because obviously on Sunday they have to go against the Eagles, which is like, if you're going to beat the Eagles, you have to dominate the trenches. And without Sam Cosmi, it's going to be a lot harder than what you might think. I mean, a 7-year veteran in Trent Scott will replace Cosmi, even though Scott has only started 23 out of his 88 games played in his career. So, I mean, he really doesn't have a whole lot of experience at the starting position, but, I mean, we'll see how he plays on Sunday. But, yeah, definitely losing a guy like Sam Cosmi for the Commanders is absolutely huge. The Commanders are going to deeply miss him. I mean, it reminds me of the Bengals. Like, the Commanders' offensive line isn't really good. The Bengals' offensive line isn't really good. And both quarterbacks, when everything breaks down, they find ways to get away with it. And like they just not get away with it, but they just find ways to maneuver through the pocket and just escape and throw touchdowns and throw for big pass plays. I feel like Jayden Daniels and Joe Burrow they're in similar situations, like based off offensive line. And I don't know, Jayden Daniels reminds me of Joe Burrow, like escaping the pocket wise. But yeah, losing Cosmi is going to be huge for the Commanders, and we'll see how they play against the Eagles because, like I said, that is a trenches game. If you're going to win that game, you have to dominate the trenches. It is going to be very tight, and I can't wait to see who wins that one. We're going to go on to the second topic. We're going to try and go through this a little bit quickly because we have a lot of NFL news to get to this week. Second one, this is huge. The Bears hired Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as Chicago's next head coach, replacing Matt Eberflus, which this is a great hire by the Bears. I feel like he was the favorite to have the Bears job, and now look where we're sitting at right now. I mean, Detroit's offense put up 33.2 points per game this year, which is not only led the league, but was also their franchise record. So I mean, that doesn't just say how good Ben Johnson is. It kind of shows you how good like the Lions offense is. Now I'm not taking any credit away from Ben Johnson. He's an outstanding coordinator. He's literally playing backyard football every single week. I mean, the Bears, however, complete opposite. I mean, they had the 5th worst scoring offense, averaging 18.2 points per game, which is actually not what you want, especially with the weapons and like the players that they have on that roster on offense. They have the potential to be a really good offense. It's just like the Bears on paper right now look amazing. Ignoring the Ben Johnson hire, they look amazing on offense. You have Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift. Just ignore the fact that DeAndre Swift wasn't that good this year. Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. Ignore the offensive line as well. But, I mean, besides the coaching, the offensive line, on paper, the Bears offense looks outstanding, and it was completely opposite. I mean, sure, some of it is on the offensive line, um, but like if I'm not saying that Caleb Williams has to be like Joe Burrow, who's always cool and calm in the pocket when it breaks down. But if you watch Caleb Williams when he's under pressure, he just looks so nervous. He just gets so like I don't know if it's anxious, nervous, I don't know what it is, but he just looks so uncomfortable when he's being chased. I mean, I'm sorry, Caleb. I know you're not really used to that. I mean, going to USC and winning a whole bunch of games there, I mean, that was a winning culture when he was there. And from going from there to Chicago is completely different. He's not really used to maneuvering for a bunch of edge guys. I mean, he is, but like not as much as what he faced this year. I mean, Chicago's offense gave up 68 sacks this year, which is tied for third most in a single season, and that was the most sacks allowed this year. So most of it is on the offensive line. On the offensive side, the defense was good at the start of the year, and then all of a sudden they kind of fell off. The Bears also haven't had – this is actually mind-blowing. The Bears also have never had a quarterback throw over 4,000 yards in a season, and they've been a professional team for 105 years. And they've had a single quarterback, which is actually kind of crazy. Like, we'll see if Caleb Williams can be the first. I think Ben Johnson's going to take that offense to the next level. We'll see what they do on the defensive side of the ball. Like I said, the Bears' defense was good at the start of the year. It was really good at the start of the year. They're looking like a top 5 defense. And then at the end of the year, they kind of started to fall off. But we'll see. I can't wait to see what Ben Johnson does with this offense. And I would not be surprised if the Bears made the playoffs. All right, third topic. The Colts, the Vikings re-signed Kevin O'Connell to a multi-year extension. This is actually huge for Minnesota. Massive signing for them. I mean, O'Connell's contract was supposed to expire going into this season, going into 2025. And I think he proved himself this year. Like, he looked really good. I mean, the only problem is, though, despite his success, O'Connell doesn't have a single playoff win under his belt. So that's one thing that has to change. I mean, Sam Darnold, older guy, he was really good. He shocked the world this year. Like, at first, when they played in week 1, I was like, yeah, Sam Darnold went off against the Giants. I was like, yeah, this isn't going to last. All of a sudden, Sam Darnold comes out and dominates. But at the end of the year, from week 18 to the wild card, Sam Darnold and just the Vikings did not look like the Minnesota we saw mid-season. I mean, the Vikings also, the good news is the Vikings are also expected to extend their general manager as well. But back to O'Connell and the playoff success, he has 0 playoff success. He's been to the playoffs a couple times, I think. And the other playoff loss that they had was against the Giants in 22, I believe. And that was I want to say humiliating, but saying the Giants this year makes it sound worse. But the Giants were actually pretty solid in 2022. But, I mean, like, if you're going to be a head coach in the NFL, it's one thing to win regular season games and go to the playoffs. It's a completely other thing if you just constantly lose in the playoffs. There's a coach, I forget what's his name. I just had him in my head, then I lost it. There's a coach in the NFL that it's almost like, I know Justin Herbert isn't a coach, but it's almost like Kevin O'Connell is Justin Herbert as a coach. Justin Herbert does pretty solid in the regular season, but can never do it in the postseason. We'll see, though. I think O'Connell, we'll see how J.J. McCarthy feels by next year. Hopefully he'll be good to go. I would say signing Sam Darnold to a 1-year contract, helping J.J. McCarthy kind of grow and get more knowledge from Sam Darnold since he's that veteran. But we'll see. I think with J.J. McCarthy and that young, talented quarterback, I feel like they'll be really good. We'll see, though. I mean, they still have a lot of players that they need to sign contracts to. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and criticize O'Connell for losing in the playoffs twice, but I will praise him because he led the Vikings to the second best finish record in franchise history, which was 14-3. The best is being 15-1. They can actually beat that by going 16-1 since the added game. But yeah, we'll see how O'Connell does next year, and we'll see if JJ McCarthy feels good. I mean, I really want to see JJ McCarthy play outstanding for the Vikings. I feel like he's a great fit in Minnesota. I can't wait to see how he does. All right, back to another Lions kind of topic. The Jets hired Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, and the Lions officially lost both coordinators the first time since 2023. Wow. I mean, according to ESPN, Glenn agreed to a 5-year deal, which is a massive deal for a coach. I mean, if you don't know who Aaron Glenn is, I believe he started coaching the Lions in 2021. I believe so. I can't remember. It was 2021 or 2020 when he started coaching the Lions as a defensive coordinator. And the first few years were kind of slow. The Lions defense wasn't really good at all the first few years. And then in 2023, in this season, all of a sudden, the Lions have one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, this year the Lions, despite having many injuries, like more than 12 men injured on their defense, they still have a top 10 defense. I mean, it's outstanding. I mean, Glenn started his coaching career in 2012 as a personnel scout. Fun fact there, but I don't know. It's one thing to call a defensive coordinator good by saying they have a bunch of great defensive players and a really good scheme that fits them. It's another thing to say almost or more than half of their defense is injured on injured reserve, and they're still outstanding. It just kind of shows you how much talent the Lions have and how good a defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn is. This is cool, though. Glenn was drafted by the Jets in 1994 and spent 8 seasons with the team as a defensive back, and I believe he rejoined them as a coach or personnel scout. I can't remember what position he was. I just know he wasn't a player. But the last time, I mentioned this at the start of this, but at the last time one team lost both coordinators was when the Eagles fired Brian Johnson, who was the offensive coordinator, and then they also fired defense coordinator Sean Desai in 2023. So it really hasn't been that long. But these two coordinators, Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, no shock that they're head coaches in the NFL now. They're amazing. I can't wait to see what they do. And I'm interested to see what Aaron Glenn does with Aaron Rodgers. That'll be interesting. Will he keep him? Will he draft a rookie quarterback and then have Aaron Rodgers mentor him? We'll see what happens. I feel like they need to go in a different direction, but that's just me. But anyway, we're going to go on to the last topic. The Bengals hired Notre Dame defensive coordinator Al Golden as defensive coordinator. Golden was Cincinnati's linebackers coach from 2020 through 2021. So he is a familiar face in Cincinnati. This is actually, as a Bengals fan, a really good hiring. Okay, I don't know too much about Al Golden, but I just know that he took his team to the national championship and had a top 5 defense at the end of the year. This is perfect. I mean, Golden, yeah, like I said, he was the linebackers coach for the Bengals, but the Bengals linebackers now are actually really good. Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson, underrated for sure, no doubt about it. And it is going to be really interesting to see how the Bengals defense kind of improves. I mean, he spent 3 years as Notre Dame's defensive coordinator and helped lead them to the national championship. They eventually lost Monday night to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Huge W. I loved that win. 34-23. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say Al Golden is now officially a bad defensive coordinator after that loss. Because I mean, it's the Buckeyes. They have Will Howard, Travion Henderson, Quinshawn Junkins, Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Egbuka, Carnell Tate. The list goes on. Okay, in the offensive line, which rotated throughout the season. The list goes on and on. The Buckeyes have one of the best, if not the best offense in college football right now. But there was that one play on 3rd and 11 in the national championship on Monday night. 3rd and 11 to win the game. The Buckeyes, they're taking a shot to Jeremiah Smith downfield. They take it all the way down to the 10. My question is why did Al Golden send a blitz and not at least put 2 guys on Jeremiah Smith? If you guys don't know who Jeremiah Smith is, he's going to be the best wide receiver in the draft in the next 3 years. I'm not even kidding. He's going to be the best receiver, one of the best receivers to ever touch a football field in the NFL. I'm not even lying. He is going to be amazing. But if you know who he is, you know what I'm talking about. You have to double him. And that's the one thing that Al Golden did that I saw personally that I thought was a little bit questionable. I didn't like it at all. I mean, I hope he learns from that because I don't want to see that on the Bengals defense because the Bengals defense really needs to improve. But Cincinnati also interviewed Raiders defensive coordinator Patrick Graham and Patriots defensive coordinator DeMarcus Covington. So if the Bengals didn't end up getting Al Golden, then they would have went another direction. But I'm glad we went with Al Golden. I feel like that's a pretty underrated hire. It's not the worst hire in the world, I will say that. But anyway, we're going to go on to quick hits. The Falcons hire ex-Jets interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich as defensive coordinator. Ulbrich joined the Falcons from 2015 through 2020. Atlanta fired defensive coordinator Jimmy Lake about 2 weeks ago. And before coming to Atlanta, Ulbrich had an interview for the Jets head coaching spot, which is now taken over by Aaron Glenn. The Colts hire ex-Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. Indianapolis fired their defensive coordinator Gus Bradley at the end of the season. Anarumo spent 6 seasons in Cincinnati and was the DB's coach for the Giants and Dolphins in years prior. The past 2 seasons in Cincinnati, though, were struggles. The past 2 seasons, the Bengals were a bottom 5 defense, and this year they cost them the playoff spot. So I feel like the Colts have more weapons around on defense now than they did in Cincinnati, but we'll see how he does. Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen opts out of the Jaguars head coaching job. Cohen becomes one of the highest paid offensive coordinators in the NFL now. And Cohen replaced Panthers head coach Dave Canales, who is now, Panthers head coach. Another Jaguars-ish topic. The Jaguars fired GM Trent Bulk after 4 seasons, and in his 4 years, he saw 1 playoff win. And really, the Jaguars are not the team to be coaching for. So we'll see who goes to coach, and we'll see if they can find a new GM. The Patriots bring back Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator. McDaniels coached the Raiders in 2023 and had a combined record of 9-16 in less than 2 years. All right, 4 men arrested in connection to the Joe Burrow burglary in November or something. The men arrested are from Chile. One of them had a real license, 2 had fake identification, and 1 had no identification. And investigators found that the 4 are illegally in the USA or overstayed their permissions. This is illegally. People from Chile illegally in the United States. This is actually bad, dude. This is so bad. The border needs fixed. I don't really talk about this stuff. I don't really know about politics and stuff like that. I'm not that kind of guy, but that's crazy. That's just wild. Anyway, Raiders hire one of Tom Brady's former teammates as general manager. John Spitek was teams with Brady at Michigan. Spitek was a part of Denver's front office in 2015 when they won Super Bowl 50. The NFL fines Houston running back Joe Mixon $25,000 for something he never said. Okay, so I guess Mixon said never let the game get into the ref's hands, and they were originally supposed to fine former NFL wide receiver T.J. Houshmandzadeh, who said, "Why play the game if every 50-50 call goes with the Chiefs? These officials are trash and biased." Okay, the NFL thought Joe Mixon said that on Twitter. He said that. I'm pretty sure Houshmandzadeh said that on Twitter. And the NFL was like, "We're fining you $25,000 for saying that." And then they're like, "Oh, wait, that wasn't Joe Mixon. Actually, we're not going to fine you anything." And then they saw that Joe Mixon said, "Don't let the game get in the ref's hands." They're like, "Oh, well, we're actually going to fine you anyway." All he said was, don't let the game get in the ref's hands. Like, I feel like the NFL is so soft, and they have a major problem. All right, second to last, Khalil Mack is set to return for his 12th season in the NFL. I mean, after the season ended for the Chargers, I mean, he considered retiring. Most people, I mean, even I thought he was going to retire at the end of the year. Last one, Texans part ways with team president Greg Grissom, who really had a good, he had team success there. I feel like he did pretty good, but I mean, I guess that's how it is. But anyway, we're going to go on to highlights and lowlights. We actually don't have that much this week, but we have some good ones this week, okay? All right, we're going to start off with the Texans player shoving a coach. I don't know what exactly happened here. I don't know why it happened. I'm confused, and I'm going to pull it up because not only did he shove his coach, but he even, like, chucked his helmet before that. It's like, what? Like, I'm going to see if I can find it. It was a wild sequence. It was the opening kickoff, and the dude's already mad at his coach. Here it is. The quality isn't great, but here it is. He's running off the field. It was the Chiefs fumbled, and then the Chiefs got it back, and he just chucks his helmet. This was actually a penalty. And then he walks up to his coach and just shoves him. Like, I don't know what his problem was. So let me take you through the sequence. Chiefs get the opening kickoff. The Chiefs take it all the way to the Texans' 40-ish. They fumble the ball. The Texans get it back, and then he walks off the field like that. I don't know. Someone said something to him. I'm pretty sure he came out and said, I didn't shove nobody, which, caught in 4K, you did. I mean, I just don't know. I'm at loss of words, like, what just happened. I don't even know. But we're going to go on to the next one. This Sam Laporta one-hander, like, this is wild. This is a, 2-yard touchdown? Yeah, 2-yard touchdown. Here it is. It's 10-7, first and goal. Laporta is in motion. Goff is in trouble. He looks that way, falling to the ground, and Laporta one-hands it. What a snag, dude. That was actually crazy. This game overall was crazy. And what a highlight reel by Sam Laporta. I mean, that's not easy to do. I mean, if we look at this, watch Jared Goff falling to the ground. He threw it while falling to the ground and hit in the chest and delivers a dime and a one-hander. What did Patrick Mahomes do? He was kind of falling to the ground. He was falling to the ground, but not as much as what Jared Goff was. And Travis Kelce caught it with his chest. If this was Patrick Mahomes, let's be real, the internet would have broken, dude. He would have broken the internet. I'm not even kidding. But that was, I'm still not taking away anything from Jared Goff or Mahomes. But that was actually crazy. All right, we're going to go on to the next one. Mark Andrews' crucial drop in the divisional round to lose to the Buffalo Bills. This is a 2-point conversion with 1:33 left. It's 27-25. Here it is. They're lining up. The ball isn't even really, I guess it's a graphic issue. I thought that wasn't lined up on the 2. But here it is. Lamar rolls out. It's a perfect play, and he tosses it, and Andrews just drops it right at the goal line. You can't do that. You just can't do that. That is the easiest throw and catch you'll ever see. And Mark Andrews drops it. I mean, the drop by Henry earlier. Andrews had a drop when you're a veteran tight end in the league, you should catch that all day. You should quite literally catch that all day. You should not drop that. I mean, I guess you could argue that conditions weren't good. I mean, that's what Ravens fans are probably saying right now. Like, oh, well, the conditions weren't great. But still, like, you got to catch that. It's even in your chest, too. It's one thing to catch it with just your hands in bad weather. It's another to drop one at your chest. So, I think, yeah, we have 2 more. This is Saquon Barkley before he broke out a huge run. I guess he said before the touchdown run, Saquon Barkley said, watch this. Here we go. I'll play it right here. It's in vertical, so here it is. He just goes, look, he just says, watch this, and looks at his quarterback like that. He's like, that actually takes a lot of confidence to be able to say that to your quarterback. And this same play, he ran so many yards. I don't know how many yards it was. 78 yards, I believe. He just took it to the house. I mean, like, that just takes so much confidence to just say that. Like, that's wild, though. But anyway, we have one last one. Apparently, the mayor of Philadelphia cannot spell Eagles. This is wild, but listen to this, okay? I don't know what event this is or anything, but here it is. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say a word. I'm just gonna let you listen to this. Okay, here it is.
Let me hear you all say ELGLES, Eagles!
That's crazy.
Let's go, Birds!
That is actually wild. Like, you can even hear the people in the background saying complete opposite words. Or not words, letters. That's wild. Okay, like, at this point, how in the world did she end up being the mayor? Like, that's wild, dude. It's like EAGLES. Eagles. Easy. I don't know what her problem was, but that was crazy. Anyway, we're going to go to the divisional round recap. Really just have 4 games, and that's it. So, not a huge recap or anything like that. But the Chiefs-Texans, I was going to get to some of the calls, like the complete bias calls in that game, but couldn't really find any good clips of them. Chiefs won 23-14. It was rigged. If you, like, first off, the flop, the roughing the passer, and then unnecessary roughness, like, that's 3 calls that should not have been called. I mean, the roughing the flop that Mahomes had, it wasn't penalized. They weren't penalized for it, but it was just the most obvious flop I may have ever seen. One of the most obvious. The Commanders stunned the Lions 45-31 in a offensive game. Jared Goff threw 3 picks in that game, and that was a wild game. Then on Sunday, the Eagles beat the Rams in the snow, 28-22. The Bills' season comes to an end after Jared Goff took a sack on 2nd and long. You just can't do that. I don't know if it was 2nd and long, but he just took a sack. He just like kind of ducked and covered, and then next thing you know, it's 4th down. No, I think he took a sack on 3rd down, and it's 4th down with seconds ticking because they don't have any timeouts. So they just had to get to the ball. And they throw an incomplete pass. Stafford throws an incomplete pass that really wasn't even close to Puka Nacua, and that's how their season ended. On Sunday night, the Bills took on the Ravens, and the Bills won because Mark Andrews has butterfingers, 27-25. The Bills are going to reunite against the Chiefs, or go up against the Chiefs again. I really hope the Bills can pull this one off. The Super Bowl that I want to see is Bills Commanders. I really hope that happens. I would be down for that Super Bowl. That Super Bowl would be wild. Anyway, we're going to go to predictions, championship predictions. All right, here we go. Last week, I did pretty solid, I would say. Last week, I went 3-1 on the week. Not the worst thing ever. But for the Sunday games at 3 o'clock, the Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles. I would not be surprised if the Commanders win this game. Later in the week, I might change this prediction to the Commanders. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I really want the Commanders to pull off an upset and then the Bills to win against the Chiefs. But I have the Chiefs winning against the Bills. I know some fans are so confident, like, it's going to be the Bills. The Bills are the better team, and so on, so on. You're not beating the Chiefs. You're beating the Chiefs and the refs. And Taylor Swift, if you want to throw her in there. But it's just so hard to pick against the Chiefs in the postseason. It's one thing to pick against them in the regular season. It's another thing to pick against them in the postseason. Patrick Mahomes does not lose in the AFC Championship game. He just doesn't. The last time he lost in the AFC Championship game was in the 2021 season when the Bengals beat him 3 straight times in 1 year. I mean, we'll see what happens. I hope that they prove me wrong. But until someone proves to me that someone can finally stop the Chiefs, I'm going to pick you over the Chiefs. But right now, no one looks like they're going to beat the Chiefs right now. I mean, you got to beat the Chiefs and the refs. Either you dominate, the refs can't do anything about it, or you're going to have to get lucky with some of the calls that the refs call. So we'll see what happens. Question of the week, though. Should the Steelers keep Russell Wilson? I have seen some things like, oh, maybe he's not going to stay. They might not re-sign him. There's been some bad news. There's been some good news. I also saw earlier yesterday that they're working out or like talking on contract extensions, or they're talking about a contract or something. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but we'll see what happens. Like, yeah, it says contract talks have started between the Steelers and Russell Wilson. We'll see. I think that they probably will, but I would not be surprised if they didn't re-sign him and maybe traded him for a few picks in the future or something. Maybe a quarterback needy team would accept that. I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess, but I think they will re-sign him. But I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. I think that the Steelers will end up re-signing Russell Wilson. That is the question of the week, and that is the episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. If you enjoyed, hit the like, the subscribe button, and the notification bell to get notified of every single upload this channel makes. For those of you who did tune in, thank you for the adjustment you made, because I honestly I could not do it yesterday or tomorrow. Not yesterday. I could not do it tomorrow. Because this is probably the biggest or the busiest late weekend that I've probably ever had in a long time. So, well, I just had to get to this one because there's so many good topics. But anyway, I'll see you guys next week for another great episode on Deacon's NFL Talk.